I'm with Katie Dalebout. She is a yogi. She's a yoga teacher. She is a spiritual leader and life coach, everything spiritual. She has a book coming out in 2016, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. So let's get started with like your story. Like, how did you get involved with your spiritual side, or how did you find all of this into your life?
Thank you so much for coming here and being here, and I think you're amazing, Lindsay.
Thanks.
So my journey started in the body. It started with the physical, and then it kind of transitioned from there. So in college, I became very interested in wellness and high vibe foods and organic foods and eating healthy, and it just became a huge part of my life. And it was a transition from kind of how I was eating before, and it was a good thing because it opened me up to so many things. And at the time I was really into yoga, and I was really into kind of that new way of being and way of thinking. And so it was exciting. And I have the personality where I'm very all or nothing, right? Very addictive personality. So I took that a little bit too far, and it spiraled into an eating disorder. And it was something that at the time, you, as many of those things do, I didn't really understand what was happening. I didn't really understand. I thought it was all about being healthy and getting healthy, but really I was making myself very sick, really sick, into a really scary, low place. And at that time, I found a lot of mentors in this space doing work with spirituality, and I needed to heal this eating disorder that I had. And the way for me to do that was through, instead of figuring out, I had a coach at the time who, I was asking her questions as my mentor, like, how many chia seeds do I eat, and how can I be more dogmatic about my diet, and how I just need to,
So you became obsessive of eating healthy.
I think it was a culmination of a lot of those things, and I've really gotten honest about that recently, where, and that's kind of where my work is transitioning, because, like you said before, I'm a coach and a mentor to girls, and I was I was a life coach, right? And all of or I am, but the girls who are attracted to my work and the people who are attracted to me, who came into my life, were people who were mirrors for me.
Yeah,
and they were all people
course.
Who
they can relate to
struggled with eating and with food. And so they brought up a lot, and I learned so much from these first few clients. And I realized that while at the time I would have said, and even now too, a lot of it was around getting really excited about eating a certain way, getting really excited about, the vegan diet and the, no grains, or, whatever it is. There's so much info out there about what diet, works for everybody. We're all so individual that, I completely have dropped all labels because I think labels are for containers, not people, and so I think that was really big. But at the time, I think I maybe thought it was about that, but I came to it in the first place for weight and for the way that our society values a certain body type. And that's a thin privilege is a thing, right? Like, people are treated differently based on the way that they look. And I think that's while I want to say that that's not that that isn't the way it is, but it is. Let's just be real about it. It is.
Right.
And my way for me to take a stand about that is not to say oh, that's so terrible, we should love every body type. It's to just love myself and to know that I'm okay at any weight. I'm okay as I age, right? That was a really big thing for me, is the fear of fat, right? The fear of gaining weight, the fear of my body changing, right? And I would see that in myself of, I'm okay how I am now, but what if everything changes? Am I going to be okay then? And I was seeking my worth in my physical body. I'm not good enough to be sitting here having this conversation with you unless I look a certain way. I'm not good enough to teach yoga and do my thing so uninhibited unless I have a certain body. Or I'm not able to speak on the stage, or who am I to write a book? Who am I to be a leader? Who am I to be great unless I have this body, right? So it was like this way for me to control something when, like, in life you can't control any of that, right? Like, I can't control what someone is going to think of me. Like, that is just something I can't control. I can't control if this guy is going to like me. I can't control if you're going to want to be my friend or not. Like, I can't control that. But as a way for me in my mind as this young girl to control the universe, essentially, and control if people were going to like me or not, I thought that if I could just control my body, and if I was just, like, thin and had this perfect body and ate in this perfect controlled way, then people would like me and everything would be perfect. But that's not how the universe works, right? What I realized was when I was trying to control that way of being and way of eating, I was denying myself a feeling I didn't want to feel, right? Like, whenever you're either overeating or controlling your diet or not eating, or, you know, bulimia, or, and I've said this many times in our yoga class, you're denying a feeling you don't want to feel. Your addiction isn't body image.
So what was the feeling you didn't want to feel? Pleasure?
Perhaps, you know, I think for me it was control. Like, it was at a time where I didn't feel, for me, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't accepted, and that, you know, after a lot of therapy and a lot of journaling, like, it's come to that for me, and I realized, like, I genuinely felt I wasn't good enough as I was, so I needed to change myself in order to be accepted, in order to be good enough.
Is this something that you struggled with, like, your whole life, almost?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I wasn't aware of it. Like, I had a great childhood. I had a great, you know, like, it wasn't as dark as it seemed, because I was numbing with, you know, other things, other people, other, you know, in the normal ways that we numb. And so, like, coping mechanisms are okay. Like, it's okay to watch TV and not think about your feelings. It's okay to, like, read a magazine and not think about your feelings. It's okay to do all of those things sometimes. It's okay to even eat over your feelings. Like, it's okay. Like, it's not wrong. Like, we're not wrong to want to use coping mechanisms. But eventually, that's just a Band-Aid fix, right? So if you can really heal the issues, and you can still use those things from time to time for fun and for enjoyment, but after a while, it's like, do you want to have a real life? Do you want to feel, like, the richness of, you know, mad love and, like, the richness of heartbreak? You know, do you want to feel the full spectrum of emotions, or do you want to kind of just, like...
So you felt like the control was prohibiting you from feeling those emotions?
Yeah, I mean, for me at the time, I was so non-self-aware. I was not aware of myself. I mean, and I think, you know, as teenagers especially, we tend to not be very self-aware, and I think in college I was definitely not very self-aware, and you just become like this chameleon trying to fit into whoever is around you. Like, I know for me, like, I was very good at, like, picking up people's energy and being like, okay, this person is this type of person, and around them, this is what they're looking for, so I'll just be that.
And they like this type of person.
And then they'll like me, and that's great. But I'm not being authentic, and I'm not being myself.
I struggle with the same thing.
Yeah, so it's like, you can do that and have lots of friends, and that's great, but, like, you don't have lots of friends.
Ever.
Exactly. It's not you, it's this, like, persona you're being around them. You're being a chameleon.
It's a lot of wasted time and energy. It really is. And you look back and you're like, oh my God, I could have done so much with my life for, like, the past 2 years, but instead I followed everyone else's path instead of my own. So what was it for you that kind of sparked you to kind of become more aware of what you were doing to yourself?
Well, for me, it was that bottom. It was definitely, like, I had to do something. It was a breaking point. Like, I was very sick. And I didn't really understand how I got there. And I knew that healing that was way more, everyone else, my family and my teachers and the people who were really concerned about me, professors, like, thought it was all the physical, right? Like, I was physically hurting myself and I physically needed to change, which partly was true. Like, clearly I needed to make a change.
Like, your weight got so
My
low.
weight, exactly. But what I realized was the reasoning behind that was completely mental, right? Like, it wasn't that simple. It wasn't as simple as, like, eat more calories, gain more weight, then you're good.
Right.
Peace. You know, it was like, I needed to take a look at these issues of why I was feeling that way. Why did I feel so strongly that I needed to be a certain weight to be loved, that I needed to be a certain weight to be good enough, that I needed to be a certain weight to do the work that I wanted to do in the world? Like, why did I feel that way?
Right.
And through therapy, I was able to understand that and say, like, look, now I'm able to change and shift my life. So I'm so grateful that I had that eating disorder, because I probably would have just, like, gone through life without actually healing that issue, and I wouldn't be authentic. I definitely wouldn't be doing this work, but I'd probably be doing something else, and I probably wouldn't be authentic doing that.
Right.
I'd be, just living life in that space where I was just not self-aware. And through having this issue and needing to heal it and then healing it, that took a lot of self-awareness and a lot of self-discovery that I'm still on the path today. That's led me to, like, gurus and teachers and mentors and lots of self-help books and lots of writing. And I'm grateful for every bit of it, because now I have this tool belt where I can work with other people and help other people. And I've got, like I said, this tool belt where I can pull out this tool for you. This book will help you. I've done it all, So it's like I can curate based on who needs what. And I have this tool belt that I use to heal myself that I can therefore teach with and teach yoga with and speak with and write with to help other people.
So what was the next thing for you then? Like, you're working on yourself. How did you get involved with your blog, teaching, all that stuff?
Yeah, so I had the blog all throughout. So I had the blog, like, kind of through this experience. It transitioned as I transitioned, which is so cool about it. But basically, I was writing this blog. It was very wellness driven. It was much more about the physical health, and now it's transitioned more to spiritual health and spiritual well-being, which also includes the physical, because it's all connected, right? It's all holistic. But basically, I was writing about these things, and I was just being the example, like we were talking about before off camera. Like, sometimes you can't really help the people that are closest to you, because you can get really frustrated, like, I want to change you, and you can't change someone unless they come to you. So the best way to do it is to just be the example, be the light. And so I was just doing that on my blog and my social media. I was, like, changing my life and just becoming this happy person and living in my wellness wonderland and just doing my thing and sharing about it online, which was really fun. And then eventually it built up, and it wasn't just, like, my aunt reading it anymore. It was lots and lots of people all over the world. And at that time, I had started this podcast where I was interviewing mentors of mine and curating content, bringing all the things that had helped me to other people. And so these girls who were reading the blog all the time and listening to the podcast and following my social media, I started to get tons of emails of, like, I admire what you're doing there. I want to do it too. Like, show me what to do. Do you mentor people? Do you coach people? And so I was like, no, I don't. That's really cool, but, like, who am I to do that? Like, I don't do that. And then more and more people started to ask, like, would you be my mentor? Would you be my mentor? And so I developed this really cool mentoring program. So it's a 3-month program that includes journaling and curated morning and evening routines. And we really go deep over 3 months, working one-on-one together in this space where they see value in what I have to give from my experience. I coach based on my experience and all the skills that I've learned and worked on myself. Like, I've worked with these girls now, and I'm using these same tools that I write about in my book and that I teach from, and I teach in yoga. And every time, like, I see these things helping people, or people tell me that they've helped them, or I get these emails, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, it works for me and it works for someone else too. Like, that's super cool, because until you see it works on you, which is great, but then you see someone else implement it and it works for them, and that's super groovy. So that's kind of how the mentoring relationship kind of developed over time.
Yoga's always been a part of your life.
And so, but actually, it's funny because a gym class is actually what had me find yoga. And in high school, I took an elective PE class, which was yoga.
Wow, that's so cool that they had that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took it, and I was like, really liked it, thought it was cool, just kind of whatever about it. But then our teacher took us to a yoga studio, a hot yoga studio, as a field trip. And we went in there, and I'll never forget, it was like hot, and we were like waiting to go into our class, and I hear the Om in the room, and I was like, whoa. I was like, that's so weird, but also really cool, you know? And so we like go and we do our class, and I went back there every single day after that.
How cool.
Yeah, and I met my teacher, and I did teacher training there, and I literally did it every day at a studio called Yoga State in East Lansing with Jen Hayes, and she's amazing, and she was my teacher, and she showed me how cool yoga was, and that going to a studio is really awesome because you can make community like we do now. You know, you coming to my class, that's how we met.
It's really cool.
And you build community, and you build this like safe space. So for the first time when I was in that room, I enjoyed exercise. I enjoyed this practice, right? And I felt like I could do it because it's a practice. Like I'm so not perfect at yoga. Like I teach, and I'm not perfect, but I enjoy it, and I can do it, and it's not like I'm doing it wrong because you can't do it wrong.
Right.
And that's why I like it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It kind of opened my world for me.
Me too.
It's like meeting people that actually thought like me, or like that I wanted to think like, and I'm like, you guys are actually really good people.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are talking about cool things and like things that interest me. So it's just something that has been such a huge milestone in my life. So I have to ask you.
Yeah.
You seem like every time I see you, every time I'm around you, your energy is very high. You seem like this happy person that literally like skips around.
Yeah.
Is that who you are, you think?
It is who I am.
Yeah.
You know, it is who I am at the core of me. And I think I used to really like shred to that. You know, I used to like try to be who people wanted me to be, you know, and I used to feel like I had to kind of dull my light to be around people because I have this very big personality. I have a lot of energy. I am that like center of attention personality, you know. That's why I love teaching yoga and like doing my thing. But
and dancing.
We danced today in class. I mean, we have a ball. I made you guys sing. I mean, I do that because that's who I am. And for many, many years, and especially like as a teenager and young adult, like I wasn't really being that person. I was shredding to be less than because I felt like I was less than. I felt not good enough, so I wasn't allowing myself to shine. But I will say that like I'm also very serious. Like as happy as I am, and like, you know, living in my wellness wonderland and everything's so great, like I'm a very serious person, and I've dealt with some like really heavy stuff.
Right.
But I'm able to move past that and get to the core of who I am, because when I'm in that place, that's Velcro. That's stuff I've picked up over time. Who I really am at my core, my soul, is this like happy, loving person. And so when you see me in that way, teaching yoga, when you come to my class, like that's me being my authentic self, right? Like if you were to see me and I wasn't that way, I would be out, you know? So that it's a compliment that you see that with me, because it means I'm in my flow. But to be honest, like I'm not there every day.
Right.
Like of course not. Like we all are taken out, you know. I'm tired sometimes, and like that's fine, but like again, I know how to come back, and I know how to pivot and come back quickly because I have the tools of journaling, of yoga, of meditation, of mindfulness. And so I use my tools and I come back to being that authentic person. To be very honest with you, like I never wanted to talk about eating disorders. I never wanted to talk about body image. I never wanted to tell people that I was deadly afraid of gaining weight and being fat, and like I thought that my worth was wrapped up in that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I couldn't say that for years,
Yeah.
you know? And now I own it, and I was like, I was really scared. I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
I was more scared of that than anything, than
Yeah.
of death, right?
Yeah.
Like I was so afraid to be here because I didn't feel good enough, and I
Yeah.
thought that I had no worth
Yeah.
without looking a certain way.
Mhm.
And that's a really crazy way to be, but unfortunately, I'm really not alone.
No.
So many women feel that way. So many people feel that way, whether it's tied in with body or with sexuality or with economic stature or with a career. Like, so many people have this thing of like, if I'm not this certain way, I don't deserve to be here.
Right.
And that was like how I felt. I thought, I don't deserve to live this life unless I look a certain way.
Right.
And as like intense and real as that sounds, like that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And now I know that I'm brave enough to share that, and that is my story now, you know, and that's what I heal with, and that's what I've been able to use all of these tools to heal from. And I've been able to watch other girls that I mentor do that. Like, I could cry just talking about that, because it's I'm not alone. I'm not the only person who's had those kind of like really deep thoughts, and I didn't even want to share it. Like, I didn't even want to like tell you what I just told you, but I did, because now I realize that like that's the only way I can feel better, right? Is to like share. Like, I had to go through that to be where I am.
Right, and to help other people, you have to be their inspiration. And by owning it, it's like,
I mean, what better motivation to like deal with my body image shit and my fears than to say like, I can't be having these crazy thoughts if I'm then going to go and mentor you about it. Like,
so that still comes back, the body image.
Absolutely. I'll dance with it for the rest of my life. And I think that's important. And thank you for asking that, because I think that's important to say. Like, am I ever going to like be completely 1000% healed? No. Like, I think I'll dance with this forever. It's my issue. It's my trigger. But I am aware of it now, and I come back from it and I say, okay, like that was a nasty thought. That's like, oh, you just did your old thing again. That's okay. Now we can change the situation. Now you can pivot. Now you can resurrect the situation and choose to see it differently. Whereas before, I would just be completely taken out by that. So I think it's important to say, though, like, it's not like this magic sauce where like everything's wellness wonderland all day long. Like, no, I have like mean thoughts about myself, and I judge people, and I like, we all do feel really bad sometimes. But I say like, okay, I was judging that person. I'm gonna choose to love them and see us as equal and change. Or I was just judging myself. I'm gonna change and do something differently. And that's a radical way to live. Like, that's really
that's
deep.
Inspiring for sure, because I mean, it's harder, it's easier said than done, and I know that from experience. So just knowing that, we all go through that helps.
And you have to do the work every single day.
Every moment.
Thank you. Every moment. Like you said, it's a practice.
Yeah, it is.
It's a practice.
It does get easier, I know that. It's still there though, and it's still hard.
Yeah, and where I am today to where I am a year ago is night and day. And then where I was 2 years ago, night and day.
Like your perspective getting better and better? Or
I mean, exactly. Like, my perspective, my level of happiness, like my level of just being able to be okay with these thoughts and these fears, like while they still come up, we'll always have an ego. Like, I'm able to come back quicker. Like I said, those moments of darkness are fleeting. Where before, I used to live in the darkness and have fleeting moments of light when someone told me I was good enough, when I had, someone telling me I was okay, like someone giving me a compliment. Like, that was my fleeting moments of light. Like, okay, I deserve to be here. And then I'd be back in the darkness. But now I live in the light, and I just have these fleeting moments of darkness, and I come back. And that's what I want people to take away from this.
Right. Well, thank you so much. You've been amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that was a great interview.
I think so too. Thank you so much. And I want to say that I think what you're doing is amazing. I want to say this on camera to everyone, that you're amazing, and I think you need to share your story.
Yeah, and I'm a work in progress still. I mean, I'm still navigating, figuring out
we all are.
Where's my niche. I mean, like, where do I see myself? Like, I like doing this, but it's still morphing, and I'm still...
It always will.
Yeah, and I think as, like, a fellow blogger, like, I'm interested to hear from you, like, how is your blogging, how did you find a following? How did you get the inspiration to write all the time? Do you write every day? I mean, do you write every week? I mean, how did you start with that?
I get this question a lot, and like how I started the blog and everything like that. And basically I say, like, write like you have thousands of followers, right? Even if you don't, even if you know, like, the 4 people who are reading it, right? Like, pretend like you have thousands.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons. It'll make you do it, and it'll make you produce content, which will help. And also, because eventually that content you write will become your archive, right? And so when 5 years from now, when you have billions of followers, what are they going to do for Lindsay? They're going to stalk you online, and they're going to go back to all of your archives, and they're going to read the posts you were writing today.
Right.
And they're going to say, like, oh, wow, that's cool. Look at where she started.
Right.
So write your posts for those people who are going to find you eventually.
Right.
And then also, like, I remember I was like, I want to have more followers. And I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just going to share better shit. Like, and I just did. I don't know. I know that sounds, like, kind of silly, but, like, I just started to share more stuff and more stuff that was inspiring to me. And the number one thing I did was I was real. I was authentic. And I was being myself. And, like, again, people dig that. Like, when you're real, people can't get enough of that.
I found, like, being real for me, though, like, I'm always real when I write my stuff, but I only feel that way, like, maybe every other week, you know, like, once a week, so it's like...
Only write when you're inspired.
That's
like,
what's been happening. I'm like,
and that's
you know,
exactly
there's been a break for a while, so that's just...
Yeah, don't be hard on yourself.
I know, that's what it happens. Like, you put so much pressure. I put so much pressure on myself to, like, be busting out content. And,
no.
You know, I'm telling everyone I've created a website, and now I haven't posted it in like a month. So.
That's okay. I mean, you'll develop. It'll be a little bit easier and cleaner once you've, like, had more of a body of work and there's more there. So it's like, okay, I can kind of chill out because there's stuff here, and they can go play with that, and while I get inspired and do other things. Right. But, like, hiding behind your computer all day isn't fun.
No.
So when you're inspired. What I do is I'm like, oh, that would make a great post.
That's what I do.
And I write it in my phone. And then, like, later I'll come back to it when I'm inspired and I have time.
That's what I've been doing.
You know, so, like, me with the book, like, the reason I won is because I was really unattached to the outcome.
Tell me about that. I don't know anything about that.
I entered a contest and to be published by my dream publisher. And I went and I learned how to write a book proposal and whatever, and you could submit, and you won, you know, there was like 3 prizes. You could win, like, a publishing deal, or you'd, like, 2 smaller self-publishing things. And I was like, whatever, like, it'd be cool to win, but really I just want to, like, write the proposal so then I'll know how, and then I can, like, find a literary agent and try to get this book out, or I'll just, like, make an ebook on my site, but it'll just be, like, I'll use their deadline to, like, get me going. And so I did it, and I, like, threw it all together, somehow got it in, and I ended up winning. But I was really unattached to it. Like, I was really like, if I win, like, that would be awesome and cool, but also, like, it would be really cool to sell an ebook on my website, too. Like, that would actually be super cool. So I just was super unattached to it. So that experience showed me that, like, if you're clenching to something, if you really want an outcome, and that's the only way, you're blocking, right? Like, you're blocking things. So it's like, we dream in a fraction of what the universe dreams for us. Like, the way that we can dream is a fraction of what's capable for us. Does that make sense? So, like, if I just clung to, like, what I thought I wanted and what my dreams were, I'd be blocking all of this abundance, all of this like great stuff that could happen for me by thinking small, even though I think I'm dreaming as big as I can. So just being open to whatever comes is even more powerful than like setting goals.
Yeah.
So
good advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for meeting with me, and I'll give you a hug.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Thank you.
You are awesome, and I'm so
You're so
proud of
inspiring.
you.
Thank
You're
you.
so great. I'm so happy to be your friend.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you for inviting me.